Hi, boys and girls. This is Ms. Kathy. I'm so happy you've joined me today for another story just for you. DeeDee's bright idea. Oh, Mother, do I have to? DeeDee Adams was not happy. I don't want to wear my winter dress, she muttered to herself. It'll be too hot. Mrs. Adams came to the door of DeeDee's room. I know it's almost spring, she said, but it's not warm enough to buy a spring dress yet. You'll either have to wear one of your old dresses or wear your winter dress again. DeeDee whined, but my old dresses are too small. When it's warm enough, we'll buy new dresses for spring and summer, her mom said, but I can't afford to buy you a new dress that you'll only wear for a few weeks. Hurry now, or we'll be late for Sabbath school. DeeDee was quietly unhappy in the car. When they walked into the church, she noticed a family she hadn't seen before. That girl has on a cool dress, she thought, and the little boys are wearing short-sleeved shirts. At least someone knows it's spring. Good morning, Mrs. Adams said to the woman with the children. Welcome to church. Can we help with anything? Before long, DeeDee was showing the girl, Marissa, to the kindergarten room. Then she went on to the shoebox. Our lesson is about Abraham, Mrs. Shue said. When strangers walked toward his tents, he hurried to make them feel welcome. Why do you think he did that? Because they were special visitors from heaven, Chris answered. Yes, Mrs. Shue agreed, they were, but Abraham welcomed them before he knew who they were. Abraham welcomed all visitors that way, and he must have had many visitors since he was a rich man by now. Why do you think he did that? He wanted to make friends and not make enemies, Sammy guessed. He wanted to tell them about God, Jenny said. Mrs. Shue nodded. You may both be right, but the main reason why Abraham was kind to others is that it made him happy. He felt happy when he could help someone else. DeeDee thought, I'd be happy helping others too, if I was rich and I could buy all the things I wanted. In the car after church, DeeDee had a surprise. I invited Marissa's family over for lunch, Mrs. Adams said. Would you help me by finding the children something to play with while I'm getting lunch on the table? Yes, Mother, DeeDee said grumpily, but she didn't really feel too grumpy. It might be fun to play with Marissa, she thought. DeeDee got some of her old toys out for the little boys. Their eyes got as big as their smiles when she handed the toys to them. Boy, you'd think they didn't have any toys, she thought. Come on, I'll show you around, she told Marissa. Let's go look at my room. Your dress sure is pretty, Marissa said. I wish I had a pretty dress like that. DeeDee's mouth fell open. Thank you. I wish I had a nice spring dress like yours. My dress was too hot today. She looked at Marissa's dress again and realized that it was too small and a little faded. Is that the only dress she has? DeeDee wondered. Later that afternoon, when the family was driving away, DeeDee turned to her mom. Marissa and her family are poor, aren't they? Mrs. Adams nodded. Marissa's mother is raising her children alone. She works hard, but they don't have much except a little house on the edge of town. Can I give Marissa some of my old dresses? DeeDee blurted out the question. Her mother looked at her. This sounds like a different girl than the one getting dressed this morning. Well, DeeDee mumbled, I didn't know I had so many. We'll pack some things in a box and drop them by their house tomorrow, Mrs. Adams decided. The next day, when they stopped in front of the tiny little house, DeeDee almost felt like crying. Mr. Adams waited in the car while DeeDee and her mother walked up the cracked sidewalk and stood by the weed-filled flower bed. Mrs. Adams knocked, but no one answered. Oh, that's right, Mrs. Adams remembered. She told me that she had to work today. The children are at the babysitter's. I guess we'll just leave our box here on the porch. DeeDee turned and stared at the yard. She thought about her own yard with its bright new flowers. There's a swing set, she said, pointing at a rusty set of bars, but the swings are broken and the slide fell off. Suddenly she couldn't stand it. Mother, let's do something about this. What? Do what? DeeDee talked fast. Couldn't we get some of those flowers like the ones you planted in our yard and plant them here? DeeDee, that would be a lot of work. We'd have to clean out these flower beds first. I don't know. We'd have to see what your father thinks. Daddy, DeeDee called as she ran to the car, can we fix up their yard and surprise them? You know, plant flowers and maybe fix the swings? Mr. Adams looked around. DeeDee, it's very nice of you to want to do this for them. I think I could help a little. Before long, they were back from the store. DeeDee was digging up the flower bed with a little shovel. Her mother was right behind her, planting beautiful flowers. Her dad was putting new chains on the swings and bolting the slide back into place. Finally, with all the tools back in the car, they stopped to look around. "It's beautiful," Mother said. "Dee, that was a great idea." Mr. Adams wrapped them both in a hug. Before they could drive away, Marissa and her family pulled up into the driveway. Just seeing their faces as they stared out the car windows made Dee decide something. Abraham was right, she thought. The best reason to be kind to others is how it makes you feel. Dee felt happy all over.
The story you have heard today is from the Shoebox Kids Bible Stories, written by Jerry D. Thomas and used with permission from the Pacific Press Publishing Association. If you're interested in any other books published by the Seventh-day Adventist Church, please visit AdventistBookCenter.com or call 1-800-765-6955.
This podcast is a production of the Carolina Conference of the Seventh-day Adventist Church.